welcome back. Appreciate it's been a little bit of a gap between the last video. I'm back on my swinging mooring in the river now, and yeah, I've just got on board. I'm just kind of brought a few things along with me for the weekend. It's Easter weekend, so actually it's quite a few people out already. I didn't get down this morning because I was drinking pretty heavily last night, and I just couldn't get up this morning. Anyway, excuses. The plan is that I'm gonna head out and head round to Hamford Water and maybe get a couple of nights over there. There's a place called Stone Point, a really cool anchorage spot, which is great for exploring like sort of the area, and at low tide the sandbanks to go straight out like offshore, so just maybe get some drone footage of that and see what's going on. I hope you enjoy this episode, and I think we're looking at like spring tides at the minute, so we've just had a really high tide to the point where I couldn't even launch the dinghy. It was just right up over the road, and yeah, there was no car parking, so I've probably taken about 2 hours from when I came down here the first time to realise I couldn't launch, and then I went back and got something to eat, came back again, and then yeah, it was low enough for me to launch. But we are looking at I think it's about 4.6 meters at high water at the minute and about 0.6 meters at low, so the range is massive. And it is probably about 2 days after a full moon, so which is typically where the stronger tides are. So yeah, that will be interesting, and but definitely for Stone Point, for the Hamford Water, it potentially means that I can get to places where I normally wouldn't. I've got my mainsail to fit. I did take it back to clean, and yeah, that was an interesting job. I was trying to hang it up in the garage and yeah, dry clean it with fans and stuff, and yeah, I was going in there to try and do other stuff, and it was just getting in the way. So yeah, probably best just like leave it to the professionals next time. But to be fair, the job was pretty good. I was just glad to get some clean water on it, just to wash off some of the salt from past years. Been cleaning the mainsail with this stuff I bought online, HLS Supplies. It's not too bad. I think I applied it not quite right in the way that I'd actually washed the mainsail with fresh water first before putting this on, so I don't think I got quite the cleaning effect that I was after, because the yeah, the dilution sort of was probably even more, you know, with the water already being on the mainsail. But it did clean it up okay, I think. But so some of the sort of harder sort of mold stains were yeah, they stayed on. But yeah, generally I think it's quite good, and hopefully gives you a little bit more lifespan on the mainsail. As you can see, it's come out okay, but there's still marks on it. Specks here and there. Obviously the rust stains you struggle to get off, but it does feel quite crispy, which is nice, and I think that just benefits from just washing it with fresh water and giving it a light scrub with a sponge or a soft brush. I actually, when I sprayed the cleaner on, I just used like a paintbrush, and I just went around in circular motion until it sort of foamed up a little bit, and then left it for like 5 minutes, and then washed it off thoroughly with fresh water. But I think it's doing okay. The stitching seems okay, which is good. And yeah, none of the plastic track fittings don't seem to be cracked or worn too badly, so generally quite happy with the condition of this mainsail. Just done a bit of a repair job with the dinghy. I think I've got a total of about 12 patches on that now, to the point where I've started naming them. But yeah, that's actually staying inflated quite well now. But I had a bit of a session with that a couple of days ago when I brought the boat round, and yeah, I suddenly realised that one of the tubes was failing on me pretty quickly. So yeah, I didn't realise I could pump by hand so quickly, but yeah, but it looks good now, which is not too bad for a 12-year-old dinghy, I think that is now. So. So one thing I quite like about these this maze that with the battens is you get like the little Velcro push it into there, and they just hold it all in place nice and neat. So yeah, the battens don't go flying out, and then just this little tool to push them in. Okay, so just coming up the Hamford Water now. It got pretty shallow coming up the channel, and the wind died as well. So I'm coming in on my engine, and it's deeper now, 5.6 meters, which is fine, and about an hour away from low water. So I'll go as far as I can. There is a small creek just in front of me where there's a munitions dumping sort of area and storage area just up here, ex-chem, and they have a big tanker that comes up here at high water and at night sometimes. So I want to be as like outside the channel as I can, really. So I'll probably go past that creek and then drop the anchor, I think. Okay, so about 4.8 meters, and I'll probably put her down there somewhere. I'll wait until I hit 3 meters. Don't really need this on anymore. .3, 2. So I'll look at dropping the hook now. Let's start to see the anchor moving out. So not quite bedded in yet, still moving in reverse. I think possibly what's happening is the anchor is on its back, so I'm just going to need to rumble a little bit more chain out to allow it to rotate. So it's about 10 o'clock now, and yeah, the temperature's absolutely plummeted. I'm sat in here with my sleeping bag and all my kit on, and yeah, my top half is pretty bloody cold. So as much as that sunset was nice, and it was warm at the time, it is now extremely cold. Which, to be fair, it is still early April, so I think I recall a couple of years ago actually going down the boatyard and it was still snowing. So to have this weather at the minute with temperatures sort of 6-7 degrees isn't all that bad, to be fair. And I can't complain because I'm on the water and I'm at anchor and it's absolutely lovely. I can hear seals splashing around just next to the boat as well. There was one came alongside a little while ago when I was washing up, and he just started. He sort of swam alongside the boat for a little while, and then started blowing bubbles and like doing backflips and stuff, which was pretty amazing. So, yeah, it's a spot on place to be. This
morning. It's been an extremely cold one, but yeah, I did sleep pretty well. So, I'm going to need some wake up juice. So let's get the kettle on.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to need a new kettle soon. It's getting a bit manky, that one. It wasn't the most expensive one in the world, and at some point the flames got a bit eager and started melting the plastic lid, which isn't really ideal for a stove like this. So Probably get an all metal one next time with just the handle. Just shut the hatch up again because I think it's been colder than actually what it's been all night, and I wondered why. And I looked out the window. It looks like there's some sea mist blowing in from the northeast. So yeah, that might explain the reason why. And I just had a look out, and there's a boat just a little further up the creek, and it's barely visible now. So making a little well, DIY heater out of the hobgoblin can that I had last night, and I chopped the top off, fired up this citronella candle which I had kicking about, and cut some holes in the bottom and the top for ventilation. I'm not actually sure whether this is going to work or not, but it is heating up. It's quite handy that it's like quite long. It's the longer can, so there's more surface area for heating up this cabin. I haven't got a thermometer to see if it's actually going to work, but obviously I'll feel the benefit from it when it fires up. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, put the mess stove on, but the mess is expensive, and the stove doesn't like to burn for hours and hours. It can damage the fuel cell, so then it's not really very practical just to have a naked flame like that, just going away for ages. Whereas this candle can burn for, well, I think it's a 24-hour citronella candle, a mosquito repellent type. So the hobgoblin heater has been on for about an hour now, and it's starting to change a little bit in here. I'm not inclined to get out of the sleeping bag just yet. It might be better if I had two, or maybe maybe I've cut the holes too high up, and it's just the heat is all just coming out of the top. But yeah, it's the whole thing has heated up quite a lot now, so maybe another hour or two, and that would really start to take effect. But it's not going to be in like an immediate heat like you'd have like a gas heater, or like an air heater sort of thing. It's going to be like a very gradual sort of heating action, I suppose, from that. I'm going to head around to Titchmarsh Marina just to stop off in there. I've been contacted by one of my followers who's very kindly donated one of their spare mainsails to us for the purpose of the circumnavigation of the UK that I'm starting in June. So yeah, it's hopefully I won't actually need it, but yeah, you never can tell, and like lack of mainsail, if there are any real damage, then it's a bit of a showstopper. So we've got a flooding tide at the minute, so I'm just about to lift the hook here and make my way around.
It's insane. There it is.
Just coming into the Titchmarsh Marina entrance, I had quite a lot of tide behind me, and I was doing about 5.5 to 6 knots. I needed to get rid of that speed, so I've made a little bit of a loop here, you'll see, just before lining up for the entrance, and that that helps me lose boat speed by using the tide. If you come in there at sort of 5 or 6 knots, it's a very narrow entrance. If you've got boats coming the other way, it just starts to get a bit messy.
Leaving Titchmarsh Marina, got the ebb with me now, so I'm kind of going out quite a speed. But this is probably the highest I've ever seen it. You can see right across all the salt marsh and everything. So again, many thanks to Paul in Alchemy, which is a Hurley 22 Ravensail, for donating his spare main to me for this circumnavigation, which is coming up. Just having to concentrate a little bit here because the high water means some of the buoys in the channel are hidden. I just went past one. I thought it was a seal at first, just the top end of a buoy, so I really want to avoid that if possible. Like this one here is, well, it's not as bad as the one I went past earlier, but it's getting there. As I say, the tide is going out now, and it's we've probably lost about 30 centimetres already, so yeah, that would have been covered up not too long ago. Just picked up a mooring buoy. River, got a Kismet just over there, and yeah, the tide's flowing really strong in this section, so I'll probably wait until it eases off a bit before I get a bit closer and then drop anchor. I think that might be a more wiser decision, because you don't get much time to react if the anchor doesn't hold and it's pushing you straight out to the beach there. So yeah, this is nice, a lovely spot. I've got this new tender. It's called a 3G tender. I think this is 2.3, but it only weighs like 12 kilos. So it's perfect for storage and taking with us. So yeah, I'm gonna give this a test run. See how it goes. It's got everything with it: inflatable pump for the inflating, and the seat is in there along with the oars as well. So, and the puncture repair kit, I think, as well, which is pretty cool. So yeah, we'll give this a go. And here comes Graham. So I've just inflated it enough for it to float with the electric pump, and then I'm gonna jump in now and yeah, put a bit of pressure in these tubes. It's an inflatable floor, so there's no boards on the floor, and then just it's like a little aluminium, kind of cool, really lightweight seat, which I'll fit in, and then we'll give her a little go. That's it, fully inflated, and the floor's pretty hard as well, and I don't think I've pumped it completely up, but I did notice there was quite a lot of water coming in, and then there's like a shutter at the back there, just in the centre of the transom plate, which you need to push down. I didn't realise. But yeah, apart from that, it's all good. Quite impressed at how quick that it inflates as well. There's smaller tubes on this, so sometimes sitting on the side, probably not so much sort of buoyancy as a sort of standard tender, I suppose, but generally really easy to handle. It's very, very light. The great thing as well is like the bags are great because as well as being able to fit everything in, you've also got the backpack straps as well, so you can cart this around on the back, and it's probably maximum weight is about 13 kilos, so yeah, very manageable. Actually handles really well. It's I do feel like I'm kind of like laying down, like sat on the floor, because it's quite low to the surface. Yeah, it's quite different. This feels like a different row anyway for an inflatable. But yeah, it's quite quick for an inflatable as well. Rows really nicely. Yeah, everything feels pretty solid really. You got these grab rails on the side as well, which is, I always think, is quite an important feature on an inflatable. Like the maximum load is like 350 kilos, which is quite a lot. So it's 2 adults plus plus baggage really, and you can easily get a small outboard on that as well, which is pretty ace. The only thing really for someone my sort of size is you can't really put your knees up anyway. Doesn't really matter what size you are in a tender like this, and sometimes rowing is a little bit difficult. So if you had some strops, like kind of like similar to this, just big enough just to put your toes in, that would just give you some like reverse pressure when you're rowing, because otherwise you're like, your feet are just out and you're pulling and kind of sliding around on my seat. So yeah, that's the only thing it would be cool to see. I mean, yes, it'd be quite easy to rig up anyway if you just had a bit of rope that ran there and then back down to your feet, and then you've got like a little bit of pressure. You've got a little bit of a foothold, if you like, because you don't have a deck as such, and it's not deep enough to put your feet up. That's the only thing really. Just exploring up this little creek with the dinghy. It's just kind of various muddy bits. The tide's kind of running out pretty fast, so I probably don't want to spend too long up here, to be fair. Okay, morning. Gonna go and have a little bit of a trek around on Stone Bank today. I think Corin and Graham are already over there, but yeah, I'm just gonna finish my brew and then head over.
came up a couple of nights ago. Just up there. Not a great deal up here. We're actually probably a 2-hour walk to Walton round the coast from here as well, so it's out in the middle of nowhere. So it looks like we've got a little bit of sea fog blowing in. I can't see any of the buildings on the main coast now, and if you look up the river, you just sort of, yeah, you can't really see the main bulk of the sailing dinghy fleet now. So it is blowing in. So this sea mist has moved in pretty pretty thick. Barely make out the shore now, and there's sort of boats coming in quite slowly. So quite a few went out earlier on. So yeah, it looks like this sea mist is starting to clear. I can see, I can actually see the stony point now. So yeah, it's pretty promising. The sun's sort of coming back out again, and it's yeah, there's high water at the minute. You can see people walking along the seawall there. Okay, so the fog is almost cleared now. There's still a few boats coming in. I'm fingers crossed that it's going to clear, because I want to go and do some more exploring on the stone bank over there. Back on the beach. I'm going to set up for a barbecue. As you can see, the tide is all the way in, but now ebbing out, which is pretty cool. Took me no time to get across there from the boat. You reckon they're done yet?
So that's it for this tube. Many thanks for watching again, and yeah, I'm going to get my head down now, and we're going to be heading back into the Orwell tomorrow. We've got probably about 5 to 6 going back in tomorrow. Lots of rain, and yeah, southwesterly I think that is tomorrow. So yeah, I'll leave you with footage of that. Many thanks again for watching, and give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new, and stay tuned for more videos coming up soon. Cheers. Early this morning was pretty crazy. Just had this front moving, quite strong, got up to about 30 knots, and it was a sort of wind over tide, so it did actually feel like I was floating around in the North Sea. I did actually get thrown out of my bunk last night. I thought I wouldn't put the my lee cloth up because I thought it'd be quite protected here, but yeah, actually ended up with my top hanging on the floor. So yeah, that was fun. Went out to put another strop around the mooring buoy because we were sort of bashing around quite a lot. Even though my mooring strop's got like a lump of chain on it, so it's pretty good for chafe. It was just a peace of mind really, more than anything. The plan is going to head out here in the next half an hour. It's a flood tide now, and head back round into the Orwell. We've got sort of gusts about up to 27 at the minute, permanent 22, but yeah, it's just wet and horrible, so they're going to be all gowned up, and it should be a fun ride in on the Genoa. Let's see how we get on.
Yeah, the letting go of the mooring buoy was a little bit interesting. As soon as I'd released the line, it just the wind picked the boat up and it almost threw me onto the mud bank. So I had to be quite quick to jump back into the cockpit and stick it back towards the deeper part of the channel. So I've just been careful with the unfurling of the Genoa here. I don't really want a gust of wind to suddenly rip that out and potentially detach it from the track. So yeah, just a little bit caretaken with this one, and probably about, say, 2/3 unfurled to begin with, and then after I'd assessed the speed, then came up a little bit more. So this is a lovely East Coast sailing day. I had about 25 to 30 knots by this point, and 3 meters of water didn't really help with the swell, and there was a few sharp waves sort of came into the cockpit, which was a little bit of a wake up. I had the cockpit shut there just to stop the rain from getting in. Now, by the time we got into the Harwich entrance, they're sort of looking at about 15 knots, which was quite comfortable to handle. So out came the Genoa, and came in quite nicely. About an hour later, I'm sat in the pub. Happy days. Many thanks again for watching. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for more videos coming up soon.